I think it's pretty obvious that Rachel is a robot when you first see her because she's dressed like the robot from the Jetsons. Then she lowers it down like it's a fucking 1990s rom com where she shakes it out and it gets all long. You're like, oh, damn, girl.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, where are we?
Finally
Watched.
finally
Watched.
I
finally
watched. I
finally
watched.
finally
Watched.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of I Finally Watched. This is David.
And this is Alon, and I finally watched. I can't believe I finally watched Blade Runner.
So I watched Blade Runner at the beginning of the pandemic on Netflix. It was the final cut, and I thought, I don't really know what I just watched. It kind of looked like shit. And I watched
Kind of
2049.
look like shit.
It did. Hold on. I'm getting to a point here. I watched 2049 afterwards, and I was like, that kind of feels like the movie that the first one was like. It got 2049 felt like it got more into the ideas that the first one was not trying to get into, but sort of alluded to. And I felt like the original Blade Runner was sort of given credit for things that maybe weren't really in there. Well, I was a fucking idiot. So I watched it this time. I have the 4K, but I watched
Is
it
that
on,
the final cut?
I believe so. But I didn't watch the 4K because I have children. It's hard to like get away into this other room where the 4K player is and the TV is. So I watched it on my tablet on a website that shall remain nameless. And that looked so much better. I want to make it clear that I own the movie. I've paid for the movie, so I think it's fine. But it looks so much better than when I originally watched it on Netflix. I'm fairly certain it's still the final cut because I looked into what the original theatrical cut was. That shit is bananas. And
So I've only watched the final cut right this time, and I tried looking up what the difference is, and they were just telling me about the final cut. I was like, I know about the final cut. I don't need to know about the final cut because I watched the final cut. But what's different in the theatrical cut? I couldn't find it, so maybe you can explain it to me better.
sure. But this movie, I think this movie has so many like ideas in it that weren't even maybe purposeful or maybe weren't even understood. Like if you talk to Ridley Scott about it, he's like, yeah, it's just like this is just a sci-fi movie. You know what I mean? It's just like an entertaining,
It's
that's what
not that deep,
movies are.
man. It's not that
Yeah.
deep.
But it is, and I think that comes from like the writing, the source material. And it's just like, I mean, to sound like, like I'm trying to be like better than I am, it's like about humanity, right? And so watching, you asked about the original theatrical version. So this movie was filmed by Ridley Scott. He was fired right after filming. The producers took over. They did a couple of test screenings. They went horribly. So they added in some narration from Harrison Ford. And Ridley Scott has been quoted as saying, I was fine with narration, but not what they added. And what they added was basically just Harrison Ford explaining the movie. And you can tell that Harrison Ford was not happy to do this because it is as monotone as you'll ever hear him. Like he's just reading lines. And like it opens
Get
with him.
off my replicant.
So it opens with him saying, I'm a killer. I used to be a cop, but now I'm a Blade Runner, but now I'm a killer. I've been retired for a while. And then it's like when the supposed to be Asian guy who's played by Edward James Olmos comes and picks him up, he's like, this is Gaff. Da, 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 da. Like just explaining what's happening in the movie because they thought it was
not really Asian.
I don't think so. I don't know. Edward James Olmos, I've just my entire life I assumed he is not Asian. He might be partially. No, he is. He is. Wait, hold on. Hold on.
Whoa.
It doesn't exactly say what it is. No, because it was confusing because it says born in 1947 at the first Japanese hospital to Pedro Olmos and Eleanor
Yeah, I'm pretty
Huizar.
sure that means he's Japanese, man.
He was of Aztec and Spanish ancestry. His father was a Mexican immigrant, and his mother was American born of Mexican descent. So, yes, I was correct. Thank you.
But he
Anyway,
was born in Japan?
he was born at the first Japanese hospital in LA, which makes him perfect to play this character in Blade Runner. That's
I
that's
love it. I
honestly
love it.
that's honestly more work than is done like for most of like the 80s and 90s and before in Hollywood movies.
It's like
So anyway,
we're casting a Japanese person. Well, I'm Mexican. Close enough.
so my favorite part of the narration, because there's like a 5-minute video you can watch on YouTube, and I like gasped and audibly started fucking like laughing, but in an uncomfortable way, is there's when Harrison Ford is brought into the office to meet Bryant, the lead cop or whatever. He's like, yeah, I got 4 skinwalkers out there. And Harrison Ford then goes, skinwalkers. That's what this guy calls replicants. If he lived in the 50s, he would have called black people N-words. But he didn't say N-words. He says it. And I was just like, what the
Oh.
fuck is that in there for?
Oh, so if you ever want to cancel Harrison Ford, we know where to go. I don't even know how to digest this. You know what's funny is that this takes place in 2019, which is past us, right? That's kind of crazy to think about.
We're past it.
That's what I meant. So we're past it. And 49, 2049, we're coming close. We're closer. You realize we're closer to 2049 now than we are the year 2000?
Yes.
That's insane.
You having like an existential crisis right
A
now?
little bit here. I digress. So I actually had an opposite way of watching this than you did. Most people did, I guess. I was on the plane. I had nothing better to watch, and most of my famous watches happen on the plane. I watched 2049 the one and only time on an airplane. And I was like, eh. I was like, okay. It's cool. Visually, it's beautiful. Did you see that video? I think it's on YouTube of the sound designer explaining that scene with Batista on how he foleyed every footstep, the kitchen utensils, everything like that. Beautiful work. It was like goes into great detail how he made the sound design for that. I watched the movie. I was like, okay, fine. It's fine. I wasn't a fan of Jared Leto, whatever. I watched this, and now I really need to go back and watch 2049 because the connections that I could make from this to that, I think I'd like the movie better. I think this almost like makes 2049 better if you know what you're going into for context,
Really? That's
No,
a
because in
shocking...
2049 it explains to you about the replicants and stuff like that, so you know the premise of it. But having kind of going into 2049 with this kind of vibe of a movie that the original Blade Runner has makes you feel like how many years would have passed? 30 years, right? It makes you feel like 30 years passed in this timeline, and you're kind of witnessing that. I think that's cool.
It's also what it was 35 years past in filming it, but it looks like 60 years past.
Yeah,
Like the difference between
looks
the
like
movies.
infinity. Yeah.
So I watched Blade Runner. I watched Blade Runner 2049. That was about 4 or 5 years ago. And then I knew we were about to do this. And then I just saw this quote online. First of all, I talked to one of my friends who was like, yeah, I'm pretty meh on the first Blade Runner. I love 2049. And then someone sort of said something similar online. And one of the comments was like, Blade Runner is not a sci-fi movie. It is a noir detective movie set in the future.
Yeah.
And with that in mind, watching it this time, it's like, I don't know, it's almost just like what I don't even know what my expectations were going into the first time I watched it, but this time with those expectations, you see all of like the choices, the sound, the score, the way it's shot, just like the darkness, the bleak look of it.
I will have to say that this movie, like 2049, I know we make jokes about like one looks vastly more modern than the other, right? But this movie is shot beautifully. Beautifully. And 2049 is shot beautifully too, but in like a completely different way.
Yes, yes. Just the opening shot. I mean, you have that opening shot where you're going over Los Angeles, and then you just have the shot of the eyeball,
Yeah.
and you can see the fire and the buildings in the background. Yeah, I mean, there's so many shots like that, and it is interesting how shitty. I don't know. Was it my TV? Was it the Netflix version? Was it just like I had a bad connection on the internet? I don't know what it was. I just remember being like, doesn't look that great. And this time it looks amazing. So it's just
And you were watching it off of a dummy site off of a fucking iPad. So, yeah.
I know, right? Well, it's a good iPad though. It's a pretty new iPad. So
Okay, that's fair. Hey, going into my expectations is that I didn't think that this was an all out like action, I guess, Indiana Jones type of movie set in the future, right? I knew that going in, but I didn't realize how moody this movie is. Like how it takes its time. It's like sub 2 hours, but instead of like Harrison Ford walks into a building, cuts him to already on the third floor of that building walking into the space. You see him walking into the building. You see him looking around. The lights like hit him. He walks up the stairs. There's a shot of the elevator. Like this movie fucking, it's like, hey, we spent money on this shit. You're gonna fucking sit here and watch it. You know what I mean?
you know what this movie felt like a little bit. I may be the first person to ever make this connection,
Sure.
but it felt a little bit like Seven. Not obviously the brutal parts of it, but like the detective work of going into these random dark places, like and looking through things and like with
Well,
the
you could argue that Seven is like a 1950s detective noir set in modern times.
right with the backdrop of LA and with like a very dark, grimy look.
For
You know,
what? For this?
both are
Well,
setting up.
seven is in LA. Seven is an undisclosed city.
It's fucking filmed in LA. Like we talked about this, so yeah,
it's,
you can say what you want.
it's
Uh,
Gotham. It's Gotham.
okay. Anyway, oh yeah, you're doing the fucking Batman thing again. That's good.
Yeah.
So this movie starts out with the Star Wars crawl, which I guess was the way Sir Ridley always intended. And I like it. So in the book, this is based off a book, do I forget what it is, do
Do
androids
robots dream?
of
Do
electric,
Android dream is electric sheep? Yeah.
right. So they decided to call them replicants because they thought androids was too funny of a term. And it just starts off like with this crawl explaining, hey, replicants, we've been
I'm
what?
just imagining Harrison Ford in the like the narration that was cut. He's like, "I'm called a Blade Runner because I run my blade through him."
I don't know why are they called Blade Runners? I did not.
That's just the people who hunt the replicants. That's just what they're called. But I like to think it's because they run their blade through them.
So the term Blade Runner comes from a William S. Burroughs novella where these people would smuggle medical instruments. That's why they're called Blade Runners. And Ridley Scott was just like, that sounds really cool. It has no relation to this, but we're going to call the movie Blade Runner.
Uh it's because I run my blade through them. No, it's cool. I wonder if like we just had something else. Like what's like a synonym for blade? Like knife jogger.
Knife Track Star. I don't know. So anyway, they're no longer allowed on Earth, and then it's like this crawl is like they are not executed; they are retired, and that is kind of the crux of this movie. Of are are these humans, right? You know, eh, maybe it doesn't feel like that, but as you're going through it, it's like
No.
kind of the point that you're making is like, should we treat these replicants like humans? We're retiring them. It's like, no, you're murdering them.
Did you ever see The Creator?
I have not.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, like, I feel like Blade Runner for a lot of different movies and mediums this is like the grandpappy of futuristic sci-fi movies, right?
For sure.
And having never seen it, I'm just going about life watching all these cool sci-fi movies done by different directors, even other sci-fi movies done by Ridley Scott. But it's so funny because watching this puts it into perspective that it's like, oh, this wouldn't be that or that wouldn't be this without Blade Runner.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so anyway, going back to the creator has a lot of this, but I think they expand more specifically with the general idea of can AI, and I guess we're facing that now because we live in a dystopian future currently. Can AI get advanced enough and evolve enough to feel and be considered like to have a soul?
It opens, the opening shots of who you think is Harrison Ford, but it's actually this other guy, Holden, who I think was like he did the test shots for playing the Harrison Ford role. Obviously, then went to Harrison Ford, but he is meeting with Leon, and we sort of don't know what's going on. It's like we're in the dark about what's happening. He's asking these questions. It's the VK test, the Voight Kampf test, and he asks him the turtle question, and then he asks him about his mother, and then he just like immediately shoots him.
What'd you say about my mother?
Right. So then we get the opening where we finally meet Harrison Ford, and he's like put under arrest because they need him and he has quit. Would be interesting to know why he quit or retired. I'm sure that that narration didn't get into it too in depth, but I don't know. It'd be interesting. And then so they bring him in, and he's like, I got 6 skinwalkers, 6 N-words running out around out.
No, 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 no.
If he's that type of guy, he's like, why does he just still use it?
Yeah. It's interesting, right? Because if you take the sci-fi direction out of this, it's just like a guy who's retired who is really good at tracking people down, who's like a detective. There's like 6 inmates, and he's hired by the local police to go track them down. That's pretty much what this movie is about. The fact that they're robots or replicants or everything is just like an addition to. But the fact of the matter is that this is a guy who's good at his job, gets pulled out of retirement, and the way he does it too is like kind of interesting, right? They can just pull rank like that at any time, where they're like, "You're under arrest." And he's like, "Go bite me." He's like, "Yeah, Bryant wants to see you. You're back in." And he's
Well,
like,
so
"It's almost like the army."
except there is this undercurrent of, is Harrison Ford a replicant?
Well, of course, but we're not there yet, man.
No, but that what you're saying is, oh, they can just bring him back in. Is a little bit of that is, well, can they do that because he's a replicant and they
But
can
the
just
eyes, we never see the eyes.
correct? I prefer the story of him not being it. The thing at the end with, I mean, we'll get to the. I
Well,
think
hold on. So, I mean, does I don't remember. Does 2049 like say he is or isn't one way or the other, or does it still keep you like
I
you
can't
know?
remember. I can't
No.
remember.
You know how
Spoiler
they got?
alert:
Yeah,
Gosling
yeah,
is.
yeah. Actually, he is, and he's also not the chosen one. I found that to be really cool. Anyways, I digress. The eye thing. Do you know how they got that?
some technique. Yeah, I read about it. I don't care about it. You can go nerd out though.
No. It's just like it's not done in like in post. It's
Right.
done completely
With
in
mirrors.
camera with
With
mirrors
mirrors.
positioned at angles, two-way mirrors with the lights and everything, yada yada yada. I don't care about that. But the fact that they were able to do it, replicate it many times in the movie, and we get that with Leon in the beginning, and then we get it with what's her name, Rachel,
Yeah.
and then
The,
Pris.
the owl, Zora.
The owl was cool, although I'm pretty sure owl's eyes just do that. But we never get it with Harrison Ford. We never get it with Decker.
So there's this thing about how all animals are fake in this movie
Yeah.
because they've been killed out.
Yeah.
So Zora, or Salome is her stage name, which by the way, they're like, yeah, she's being pleasured by a snake. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, where's that? The snake's just going in there. But she's like, oh, if I owned a real snake, do you think I'd work here? So It's like more apparent in the book, but they do
That
allude
scene
to it.
that scene is a lot to digest, and I feel like I'm gonna want to talk most. There's a lot to talk about with that scene. When he gets pulled in Brian and everything that happens like that, his detective work. Maybe I missed something. Maybe you can make it clear for me. But he's not. He gets kind of lucky, right? And I don't know if this is just a theme in like noir detective movies, but they're always like hot on the trail. I hit a dead end. And then by the stroke of luck, they're back in it, right?
Okay.
He follows this, like, basically, he goes to Leon's apartment because there's a recording of him saying where he lived.
Yeah.
He finds these photographs, which kind of reveals the other two replicants. He finds
Right.
this scale at the bottom of a bathtub. I never understood why that was like in the bathtub. Like they were all together. She's just washing off the scales because there was like blood at the bottom of that bathtub.
Yeah, I mean, it's I guess one of the scales of her outfit. So,
No, it's the
or
snake.
of the snake, right? So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. The snake was just chilling in the bathtub.
So he does good, and I don't want to get through the whole movie this way, but I just want to say he gets to a point where he finds her, kills her, the snake lady, and then he has really nowhere to go after that. And just by the stroke of luck that um the Tyrell guy was killed along with the what's his name? SFSJ
Sebastian.
Sebastian. Thank you. That leads him to Sebastian, which leads to the end of the movie. But if Tyrell and Sebastian were never murdered, then nothing would have led Deckard to Sebastian's creepy apartment full of toys.
You don't know that.
Yeah, but it's a huge. I don't know. I mean, did you find that kind of weird that he was like going through this really cool like detective trail, and then this murder got him to the end of the movie?
Well, there was a ton of other photos he could have looked at, right? I mean, I think he could have found other leads, but he got lucky in that Leon was watching him murder the one woman, and I think Leon, because he had that photo of her, and it was like a sort of a beauty shot. He was probably in love with her,
Okay.
and so then that leads him to killing Leon.
I
I
mean, it
get
was a
it.
beauty shot of him too, so maybe he was in love with him.
Maybe they just all fucked. Probably
I
that's
could
probably
see
what
that.
happened.
Yeah.
So he they're talking about the replicants that are missing, and he was saying, Holden ran the VK test. He's like, this is Roy Batty, combat model. He's the leader. And then he talks about how because they develop their own emotional responses, they only have a 4-year lifespan. So then he goes to Tyrell, and this is where we meet Rachel. I think it's pretty obvious that Rachel is a robot when you first see her because she's dressed like the robot from the Jetsons. Then she lowers it down like it's a fucking 1990s rom com where she shakes it out and it gets all long. And you're like, oh, damn, girl.
Yeah. Yeah. Where were we? I like the hey. I could tell within like 30 to 40 questions, but it took over 100 questions for me to
So she's
really.
good. She's good, right?
Yeah. But her cold delivery, her like dead eyes, that never gave it away.
I
Do
don't
they
know.
not know about the in-camera mirror trick that Ridley Scott used? Like, can't you like shine a flashlight in these people's eyes and be like, "Ah, you're a replicant"? Also, are they flesh and blood through and through, or like once you get to their bone, is it like a steel rod?
They're made of organic material. So that's why they have to do the questions because it's impossible to tell
It's
by just
impossible
like,
to tell by cutting off their hand. Okay.
well, and if you cut off their hand, it's just bone. You're like, oh, fuck, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. You like just try and stick it back on. I'm so sorry.
I
I
feel like
really
that
was
could
sure.
be
I was so
like
sure.
I feel like that could be really an easy Blade Runner parody.
That's why it's Blade Runner. They just kept chopping limbs off. So, and then he finds out about the fake memories. So, and then we go to Leon's and the pictures. And then Leon's like, oh, I couldn't go back. The men were there.
Is there a scene that we know that we see him reading Rachel's fake memories, or are we just told that?
I think we're just told that.
Okay.
There's definitely not one that we see in the version. I think you and I probably both saw the final cut. I think that is like now the definitive cut, and you don't get like you have to find the Harrison Ford narration if you really want it.
So, do you remember when we did an episode on There's Something About Mary?
Yes.
And you and I watched two different cuts, but we didn't realize it because the only difference was there was this one scene with a giant snake.
Yeah, the snake scene. Yeah.
Ironically, there is a snake scene in this movie that we both agree on. So we're okay.
Yeah, we're fine. So we then get the scene with the guy that creates the eyeballs. And he's like, man, I just do eyes. And he gives them the name of who to go to next.
That guy was cool. His whole setup was cool. The fact that it had to be really cold for the eyes to like be okay was cool. The fact that Leon kept sticking eyes all over like his shoulder, his head, and everything, like kind of making fun of him, right?
Just fucking with him, yeah.
The weird, I guess they kept him cool, like his jacket with the tubes connected to him, everything like that. That was so cool. They killed that guy, right? Heavily implied death.
Heavily implied, especially when you consider that he killed Sebastian for what seems to be no reason. You know, he didn't need to kill Sebastian,
I feel
right?
bad for Sebastian.
I do. I like Sebastian, man. And like, do
He
you
was only 24 years old.
25? Yeah,
25.
looked to be 47. I do think that Sebastian at least got it in with Pris.
Wow. You know, it's funny because I thought he was kind of hitting on her when he said, I'm only 25. And Taylor and I looked at each other kind of laughing, like, haha, like a guy lying about his age. And then he's like, I have a genetic degenerative disease. And we're both like looking at ourselves like, oh,
Maybe we're the assholes.
yeah, maybe we're the replicants.
So then Rachel comes over and she's like, you think I'm a replicant? And he's like, no, I fucking know you are. And then he feels bad about it as she just runs off. Then we meet Pris. She stakes out Sebastian.
That was a whole ruse, right? Hiding in the garbage, everything like that.
It was. So she runs away and you hear kind of a crash. She slipped. Her elbow goes into like a glass and breaks it. It's not a breakable glass. It's not like breaking glass. She fucking shattered her elbow. So that sucks.
That was a mistake?
Yeah, she just
That
slipped.
looks so good.
They kept
Like it looked on purpose. Like she fall. I think it's his truck, right? She like
Yeah.
breaks the window of his truck, falls into it, turns around, and
Yep.
that's insane. Wow.
So then they go.
So you're saying Daryl Hannah actually like shattered her elbow, but then like finished out the scene? Because I don't think there was a cut there.
I mean, that's what I read. So yeah, I assume she would have had to. So then they go into this building where he's the only one that lives there. He's like a robot designer. You feel like they're like, oh, we're gonna like this guy. He designs and hangs out with robots. It's like, now we're still gonna kill him. Not even gonna SSD. Just gonna let him die a
Are you talking
virgin.
about Roy S-ing his D?
Baddie?
Yeah.
Someone should have done it. Whoever was more willing.
Yeah.
I mean, Zola, the one that got killed earlier, was it Zola? I forget, but she was the whore robot, so like she might have done it.
The snake lady, yeah, Zora.
Yeah, so that's unfortunate that they killed her before she could.
You know what's crazy is I thought they were going to like all sorts of places with JF Sebastian. I thought that it was going to be revealed that he like abuses his toys or like he makes them and then abuses them, and they're like, we killed him, and they're all like, yay. That didn't happen.
They open a door and it's just a room full of robots with fleshlights.
I didn't mean like sexual abuse. I didn't mean sexual abuse. I just meant like he's basically like Sid from Toy Story all grown up, you know?
Yeah, that's what Sid from Toy Story all grown up would be too.
No. He's like, why is there a fleshlight attached to this Raggedy Ann?
Oh my god. So then they have these lines that are pretty cool. She's like, I'm an orphan, and then he's like, I don't have any friends, and she's like, I do. I'll call my friends tomorrow. which is cool because later on Deckard calls. He's like, "Oh, my name's Gary. I'm a friend or whatever," and she hangs up because she's like, "I know he doesn't have any friends." He told me.
Yo, damn, that is cool. Hey, can you explain to me how Zora knew? First of all, why is Harrison Ford, when like interviewing Zora,
Putting on
doing a
a fake accent,
voice? Yeah.
and then it falls away, and then it comes back, and that's I think this is the part that is well, we're not there yet, but that is the part where people are like, he's a terrible fucking detective. Like he's definitely not
Yeah.
doing undercover work, right? Because she spots it from like a mile away. She's like, all right, well, I'm gonna beat the shit out of this guy.
Well, you think that's why she spots it, is because he broke the accent?
And he's just not making sense. Like nothing he's saying like flows. She's like, I'm from the group that checks better like rooms for peeping toms, and so you can be never too careful. So let me
When
like
he was
look
saying
around.
holes, I thought he was talking about glory holes. I'm like, I'm pretty sure she's aware of those, buddy. You know?
There's glory holes all over her dressing room.
Oh,
We gotta
also, can
plug
we
these up.
like not to be mean to sex workers, because you can't do that these days. I mean, maybe in like futuristic 2019 you could, but present 2025 you can't. So I won't. However, I will say I'm pretty sure this whore's least problem is a peeping tom.
Yeah, I mean she fucks snakes.
Are they peeping?
Well, it's a fake
The
snake. And
holes
she's a
the holes are for the snakes to get in.
Yeah, that's true. So, Deckard has this unicorn dream, which lends to the replicant thing because it's just a weird dream, feels implanted.
Was yours very long? The unicorn dream in your cut?
It's like 20 seconds, 30 seconds,
Yeah.
maybe.
Okay. Because
Yes.
apparently there's the unicorn dream in both cuts, but they were like, yeah, the final cut's unicorn dream is a lot longer than the thing. And I was like, okay, so what you're telling me is that the theatrical cut's unicorn scene is non-existent, if not 5 seconds long.
It would have to be. So then he gets the sample, looks at the pictures. He's able to do this thing where he can look at the picture from different directions to see the woman in the mirror.
So cool.
I did make me
It pissed my photographer wife off, but I thought it was cool.
I mean, this is the future. It's the past, but it's the future. So it also, I was like, is this where you get the joke from like every TV show? Enhance,
Enhance.
enhance.
Yeah.
He's just throwing out numbers too. He's like, enhance to 46, and then he goes over. He's like, enhance to 32. I was like, is that smaller? Is that bigger? What does that mean? I don't know.
Every time he said center, I was like, center back to the original photograph, or are you
Yeah, what?
centering? Yeah, what are you doing?
I mean, the computer knew what he wanted. So he goes to get the sample tested. They're like, oh, you got to go to this guy. It's an Egyptian guy. That Egyptian guy is still unknown who the fuck that is. Like, no one knows who was playing that character, according to like
does.
what I read. Yeah, that guy knows. That guy, well, unless he might be dead. It's a long time ago. Then he gets a guy
6
named.
years ago.
So then he gets a guy named Taffy, who then is like, oh, you got to get this. He's got this woman Salome with a snake, and then we get to the section we're talking about. I love like the hair thing where she gets her hair blow dried in like half a second.
That is cool. I like that a lot. By the way, there was this guy, I think his name was Sid Mar? I think that's his name. He is on this movie as a futurist visionary. So he is the guy that like Scott goes to, hey, how would this work in the future? Like you have a good understanding of the future. How would this work? There's a scene where basically, for the lack of better terms, he FaceTimes someone off of like a FaceTime payphone.
Yeah.
I like how this futurist sees in the future. He's like, there will be a way to call people video chat, but not the future site that every single person in the room would have their own. It still works like a payphone.
Because it's a dystopian future, right? Like they have technology, but it's kind of shitty. I mean, so Scott has said that this is the same world as Alien, and just by like the way the technology works and the way like people are treated, and people are trying to get off of Earth because it kind of fucking sucks. Like that all feels so real.
Okay, then I'm pissed off. then I'm pissed off because if that's true, if he says that's the same world of Alien, you're to tell me we get 2049, which is a good movie. It's a good movie. But you're telling me there's like we could have gotten like 2099 where you could have Blade Runner and Aliens together.
Yeah, I mean, also you could have a Blade Runner hunting a predator.
Dude, you could have had Harrison Ford and Sigourney Weaver team up in a like a replicant alien hunting thing. Fuck yeah.
Have you seen that new, what is it? Is it, oh, the new Predator movie
The
with,
animated one?
no, it's with Elle Fanning as like the robot character.
Oh yeah. No, I haven't seen it.
Dude, the trailer for it looks pretty fucking sick. I
I don't
still
think
haven't
it
seen
I don't
I
think it's
still
out.
no, I said the trailer. So, and it's
Oh, I've seen the
still,
trailer. Yeah.
the trailer's out. So, it looks pretty sick. I still haven't seen Prey.
I
So, I'll
haven't
probably
seen Prey. We gotta do Prey.
we're gonna do Prey on this podcast. So, this movie apparently is in the same universe as obviously all of those things I said: Alien, Predator, Alien vs Predator, and apparently Firefly.
I heard about this.
So, which I don't know. That's, I mean, we're shoehorning a lot of
Okay,
shit
so you're
in.
saying we need a Harrison Ford, Nathan Fillion, Sigourney Weaver. All these people are alive. We need them in one movie fighting a replicant Terminator Predator alien hybrid.
I mean, as long as Alan Tudyk is in it in some form or fashion, then
He'll
yeah,
be like a robot or something.
I'll be fine. So now we have the Salome or Zora fight where it's interesting because she beats the shit out of him. She could kill him, and then she tries to run because she's a pleasure bot. She's not really a killer. She could, but it a little bit again is like showing her humanity. Like she's not trying to kill this guy. She just wants to live. She's trying to get away.
You could almost see Harrison Ford feeling bad about killing her.
You do, and then he turns around and Leon's there. Leon's like, "How old am I?" He's like, "I'm 2 years old."
It's questions your son asks you in the middle of the night.
He's like, "I have 2 years, which is more than you." And then Time to Die, which is not the last time we'll see this. But then Rachel, who we saw a second ago, because the one guy,
He face
yeah,
her.
well, he tries to, but then she's just standing there, and then Gaff is like, or Gaff takes him to Bryant. Bryant's like, "You have 4 more." He's like, "No, I have 3 more." And he's like, "No, the chick from Tyrell's has gone AWOL. You got to kill her too now."
Yeah.
So Rachel kills Leon because otherwise he's like, "Time to die." I think he's about to take the eyes out.
He is.
So that's
He is.
that's a move. That's a replicant move,
Yes.
which is interesting because Dave Bautista does that in Spectre, the eye out thing, and he's a replicant in 2049.
Dave Bautista's in Spectre?
He is, yeah.
Oh.
You don't remember Spectre?
I think I watched Spectre before I knew who Dave Bautista was.
You see, okay, not a wrestling guy. I see. That's fine.
No. Do I look like or sound like or you've known me for almost 10 years. Wrestling guy? Me? Really?
You know who does though? Well, I could imagine you and Seth like wearing capes, just jumping on your bed, watching Raw.
You know what? You're close. It was ninja headbands jumping on her bed watching Naruto, but continue.
So he takes her back to the apartment and is like, shakes her part of the business, and she says, "I'm not in the business. I am the business." Which is like, it could be
Whatever the hell that means.
that could be like a badass line. "I'm not in the business. I am the business." But instead, she means it like you guys are trying to kill me. And then, I mean, this is skipping a little bit of head. Oh yeah, because she's like, "Did you take the VK test?" And he doesn't answer her. Then she starts playing the piano. She undoes her hair, and then he kisses her neck, and she tries to run away. And I'm like, as he closes the door, I was like, just because it's a robot doesn't make this any less of a crime.
Well, he's kind of just treating her like an appliance, right? Like kind of
Yeah.
like subhuman. You know what's interesting though? Is this You know, when this movie was made, it was the '80s, and there was some sort of like machoisms with like a guy forcing himself on a woman, but not in a bad way, but in
But
like a
making her say she wants it.
right, and it's perceived in a sexy way, right?
But it's now jarring watching it like 40,
It
50 years later.
it is, but hold on. It in the '80s, that's like a sexy thing for a man to do. But remember, this is 2019. Deckard's about to get canceled big time.
I don't think you
He
remember.
De- Deck
People didn't get canceled in 2019.
No, they did. 2019, people got me too'd, dude. He's about to get me too'd to hell.
This is like the second canceled joke you've made in this pod because the movie takes place in 2019. I'm pretty sure in the alien Blade Runner world that they had a lot going on and they didn't have time for such things.
It'd be funny if they're just like, hey, 1 year later, horrible pandemic happens.
I mean, in the theatrical cut, he's throwing around the N word like it's nothing. So, I think he's
There's like
unafraid.
a reversion, right? There's like a, hey, we're like this way in the 50s, but we've evolved to be this way. But now we're back to being this way.
So we go back to Pris hanging out with Sebastian, and she puts on this makeup, which apparently all the replicants are supposed to like have like they're basically like their animal counterparts. So she's a raccoon, Leon's a turtle, Zora's a snake.
She's a raccoon. Wait, whoa. You're what?
Yeah,
That's why she was digging through the trash?
maybe.
Okay.
And then Batty is howling like a wolf. So
Yeah, I know Batty's a wolf. I actually really like that. I was going to make a reference to the fact that Deckard like took away his pack, right? And so he's kind of this like lone wolf, stray rabbit thing kind of going around.
So I think at this point, Sebastian thinks, oh, I might get lucky. And then her friend shows up, who's Batty, and kisses her right in front of him. I gotta say, Sebastian handled that really well, which to me means he's had a tough life and he's dealt with a lot of adversity because he sees that happen. He's like, all right, I'm gonna make breakfast for everybody. We'll just keep it moving.
It did just occur to me that Roy's name is Roy Batty. He is a baddie.
He is the Batty, yeah. And I mean, the director is English, so he's probably using that purposely, unless it's from the book. I don't know.
My name is Batty.
So then Sebastian immediately knows that they're robots and is like, oh, asking them questions and like, oh, well, we're trying to fix this accelerated decrepitude. And he's like, don't you want to help Pris? Because she's going to die. And it's like, you just kissed her in front of him. He doesn't care about her dying anymore, man. Like you stole his girl.
Can I ask
What?
you a pretty serious question about this movie, David?
Okay.
If Deckard never went on the hunt and these never died, wouldn't they just die?
Yeah.
So if Harrison Ford decided just to do nothing, then maybe like a day late, but mission accomplished.
Yeah. Honestly, in like an alternate world, he could have just been like, okay, I'm on the case. And then just done nothing and been like, all right, I took care of it. Like,
You know the theory of Indiana Jones, right? The first one, Raiders of the Lost Ark, that if he did nothing, then they would have never found the Ark because they were digging in the wrong place.
well,
But then
also,
even if they did find the Ark, they would have opened it up and all died.
yeah, that he has no effect on the outcome of the movie.
I feel like this is this. Because it's not like we got to a point where he had to save someone specific before the replicants went to kill them. They killed everyone they wanted to kill, except for him, but that's just because he put himself there, and then they just naturally died.
No, he failed because he was supposed to save. I mean, this was kind of to save Tyrell.
Okay, yeah, I mean, even more so he failed. I mean, the only thing that changes is that he has all this knowledge and information to use to save Rachel.
And he banged a robot, yes.
Yeah.
So there's a happy. I don't know if it's in the version with the happy ending where, there's voiceover and he basically says she doesn't have an end date, that she was designed to not, which is also confirmed in 2049. that she doesn't have like the 4-year end date that these guys have because she's a Nexus 7, not a Nexus 6. But so I mean,
Oh, Rachel, yeah.
yeah, so it's like that part doesn't even matter. So they tell Sebastian they need to take him to go see Tyrell. And then so they go, and the way they trick Tyrell is he's like, "Oh, I'm here to play chess." And then Batty feeds him a couple moves to like get checkmate in 2 moves, which should be like I guess nearly impossible. I'm not a big chess guy, but that's what I read.
But also maybe like that's when Tyrell should have known,
He should have, right? But he's just
right?
so. But he said earlier, I've only ever beaten him once, so it's like, oh, he beats him, and he's like, "What the fuck? All right, get up here. Like, I can't allow this to happen." And then he gets up there. He's like, there's some great lines. Rare to get to meet your maker.
Oh my god, everything Roy Batty says is like beautiful and poetic.
Apparently, Rutger Hauer wrote a lot of his own lines. So
That's awesome.
the last speech he gives, there's this big long speech, and he was like, "That's kind of bullshit," and just like rewrote it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, and I think that last little speech he gives is like one of the best in the movie too. So, and then he says,
It's
I want more life, father."
Hey, but I think the end result of that is they couldn't really do anything about it, huh?
He's like, basically, we've been trying, but once we give you a lifespan, we can't fix it. So yeah, you're fucked.
But
And then you think
okay.
he kisses him, and then you think he's gonna crush his head. Instead, he like does. So they designed a $20,000 head to look like Tyrell's for him to crush the eyes. And then Rutger Hauer was like, I can't figure this out. So he's like, can we use the actual guy's head? Can I just use his head and we'll like do something? If I was the actual guy, I'd be like, I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know about all that.
I mean, the way they describe the replicants is that they are organic, they look like us, it's almost indistinguishable, but they're smarter, faster, and stronger than us, right?
In one of the drafts of this, either the book or one of the scripts, he breaks the head open of Tyrell, and it's a robot, and then the real Tyrell is like in a chamber,
Ooh.
cryogenically frozen, like somewhere
That's
else.
some 2049 shit right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been cool. I feel like I've seen that somewhere though.
It's called The Wizard of Oz.
Ah,
Do not look behind the curtain.
no, I feel
So,
like I've seen that somewhere else though. I don't know.
and then I was really sad for Sebastian. He's like, "Sorry, Sebastian." Sebastian's just looking very awkward, and like his reaction's very muted, but it's just like, "Oh fuck, how do I get out of here? I'm not gonna get out of here." And then
He
you're
was
like,
only 25 years old.
and so young. And so then you hear on the radio that Sebastian's killed. And this part is kind of funny. So as I said, he calls Sebastian, Pris answers, she knows it's a trap. So then he goes immediately over there, and she's just lying in wait.
Dude, creepiest apartment ever.
Yeah, with all those dolls.
All those dolls, and then she's just there with like a tool over her head. Oh my god. How does he know to go to that one though? Is it because it looks the most realistic, I guess?
He saw
Like
the boobs. He saw the
Oh,
boobs, and he's like,
that's
"Yeah,
true.
let me look at them things." So she pretends to be a mannequin, then jumps up, wraps her legs around his head. And I gotta say, he fucked the one robot. Now he's got Daryl Hannah's head and legs wrapped around his head. Like, he's done pretty well this last few days.
Did you think she was gonna turn his head 360 degrees?
When it happened, I was like, "What the fuck?" I know he doesn't die here.
I guess he's a robot. I guess we know.
And she could have killed him, but instead she's like, "I'm gonna do some flips." And I guess Daryl Hannah is a gymnast, and so she did some of her own moves for this.
Yeah, she is.
Did it feel so? He shoots her once, and she's just screaming, and to me it felt like he shot her multiple times because he couldn't handle the screaming because it was so like human like that it was like bothering him.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I mean, I thought he shot her. She was screaming and like flopping around, and I was like, oh, it's like a short circuit sort of thing happening.
How did Harrison Ford get there before Batty? What did Batty go do in between killing Tyrell and Sebastian that the police were able to find out about
I guess
Tyrell's
you're right about that.
death?
Yeah.
Where did he go? Did he like
Report it in, send it to Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford had to drive from wherever he was,
makes the phone call?
go up there.
He had to go somewhere. Like he had to go do something for some amount of time. Strip club, movie, just to go get some food. He's
Let's
like,
see
there's a really
what movies came out in 2019. What could he have gone to see?
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
That came out in 2019.
Yeah, that's probably what he was going to see. Either that or he's a big Parasite guy. I could see that.
Yeah, I mean,
Little Women,
I was thinking more like thematically, like
Jojo
in.
Rabbit.
I like Jojo Rabbit.
I love Jojo Rabbit.
Jacob's Ladder.
Jacob's Ladder didn't come out in 2019.
The remake did.
There's a remake?
Yeah. Uh
This is a great part of the pod where you're just fucking reading the internet to try and come up with a good joke movie that Rutger Hauer saw instead of going back to save Pris.
I'm gonna say Knives Out.
That's a good one. There we go. Yeah, Blade Runner. I like it. So this is like a very cool apparently, originally this was going to be a kung fu scene in a gym of them fighting. And Rutger Hauer's like, I don't fucking know kung fu. That doesn't make any sense. I'm also
He should join the Matrix then.
three times stronger than this guy. So he was like, we should do the chase scene. And when he grabs his hand through the fucking thing and he's like, this one is for Zora and this one is for Pris. Oh, so fucking good.
Not
And
even
then-
that, but when he has to snap him back, oh,
And he screams. And then he says, I'm going to count and I'm going to give you time to run. And then he uses that time to mourn the death of Pris. Once again, showing the humanity of these people.
yeah.
So, and then also he feels his death coming, so Roy's inception date is January 2016, which means he should have died January 2020 if he lives 4 years. So this movie started in November 2019. So either he died early or
This is New Year's Eve.
this movie ends January 8th, 2020. Yeah, like 7 days. So we missed Rachel and Deckard celebrating New Year's Eve at some point.
Yeah. I bet they banged.
Oh, I bet so. I mean, she kind of had to because of the implication. So this whole chase scene is amazing, leading to the roof where he jumps, doesn't really make it. Rutger Hauer jumps.
Roy jumps and very accomplishedly makes it.
Yeah, pretty easy for him.
Yep.
And then he saves Deckard. It's a huge question in the movie why he saved Deckard. In the theatrical release, Harrison Ford says, I don't know why he saved me. So, and then Ridley Scott points out that Deckard was hanging from the building, and as he loses his grip, he spits at Roy in a final act of bravado, and that refusal to beg for his life is why Batty saves him. Rutger Hauer was quoted as saying, while we were filming it, I asked Scott why he saved him. He's like, it's just a reaction. And it's true, like, he's a super soldier, so he sees something falling, he grabs it. But then if he grabbed him, he still could have dropped him, right? I think there's the other theory that he wanted someone to kind of carry on. He gives him this last little speech of like, you guys are killing us for no fucking reason. Like we're human. Like we have our own feelings, and you're taking that away from us. He wanted someone to go on and hopefully spread that message.
Are we like as the audience, or not as the audience, but the other people in the movie, are we supposed to believe they can't see the eye thing?
Yeah, I believe so.
Could other replicants see the eye thing in other replicants?
Could other replicants tell other replicants? I don't know.
Because that would be an interesting thing if he looks into Harrison Ford's eyes, sees the eyes things, and that's why he saves him.
What if Harrison Ford is the only one who's noticed it, and that's why he's so good? and he's
Ooh,
just like,
that's good. I
and
like that.
he's like the guy at work who's found an easy way to do the job, but he tells no one else about it, so he just looks good.
I mean, that
He's like,
ruins the entire premise of the movie, but I like it, David. I like it a
so
lot. So what's with the dove? He's holding a dove, and I think it's beautiful. Like he's holding this organic creature, but I mean, it's not right because it's they're all man made. Uh, he holds it with a grip, and the way you know he's like dead is because the dove flies away because he
yeah,
has no more grip. Right?
correct.
Fucking great. No notes.
That was Rutger Hauer's choice again. Pretty much, like, makes you think a lot differently about Rutger Hauer, honestly, because he
That
was
yeah.
so the real dove they used. He lets go of it, and the
You should.
dove just like jumps and falls to the ground and like starts walking away. So they had to like add a different dove to the end, like they that would actually do what they fucking wanted. I love the
Right.
lines too. All those moments lost into time, like tears in the rain. So Rucker Hauer came up with that line, and Ridley Scott was like convinced that he stole it from something. He's like, "No, I made it up. Like it's mine." He's like, "Okay, I believe you. We'll use it." And
Oh
then
my god.
the scene that kind of really is like, "Hey, this guy's a replicant." Harrison Ford. He goes back. We think Rachel's gone or dead. He pulls the blanket. She's there, runs out. He's already had this scene with Gaff where Gaff's like, "Oh, too bad she won't live." But then again, who does? As he's leaving, he sees the origami unicorn on the ground,
Yeah.
which means Gaff was there, decided not to kill Rachel, and knows about his dreams. How does he know about his dreams? He's read
Well,
his
the
file.
same way, right? He read his file the same way that Ford, or sorry, Deckard read Rachel's file and knows about her dreams, right?
Correct.
I, mm, it's such a subtle way to end the movie that I could see test audiences being like walking out of there being like, I don't get what that means
I
because
mean, it happened to
it's
me.
yeah, but I mean, it is such a subtle way to like. I I cannot think of a movie right now. Okay, you know one of my biggest problems with movies, right? Is they smash the point over your head. They lay everything out for you. They're like, "Hey, this is what this character is thinking, their motivation, and this is why
Well,
they do what they do."
this was released. That's what they did.
Right. But it is incredible to me that the subtlety and the nuance with the fucking origami unicorn setting it up that Gaff does origami, and a unicorn of all things, it's the same animal in his dream. You know what I would? The only thing I will say is this I think is the only movie I will ever say it with. I wish they laid it out for us a little bit clearer. And I'm not talking about a Harrison Ford monologue here at the ending, like, a unicorn. I dreamed of unicorns. How would he know if I dreamed of unicorns? No, I don't want that. But you know what I would have wanted? Is a couple of scenes of Harrison Ford waking up and us seeing that he's like he dreams about unicorns more than just one time.
You know what? Well, yeah, maybe just make it 20 seconds longer. You could have, if you really wanted to like knock it over your head, as he picks up the uniform, his eye turns red. His eye does the thing.
Unicorn? Yeah.
No, his eye does the thing that all the other replicants do.
You said picking up the uniform.
Oh, unicorn. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
Fuck you, man. So,
okay. Sorry. Yeah, that would be kind of cool, but then again, I think the one of the coolest things, if I'm not mistaken, about 2049 is we still don't know about Deckard in 2049.
yeah, well, maybe. Well, I mean, we're going to eventually do that one December. Like, maybe this one we should do it. Maybe we should knock something else out. I don't know. We'll have
I
to.
kind of agree with you. I was actually thinking of maybe switching one of those out with Fight Club.
All right, let's talk off the pod. There are quite a bit of fun facts. So, Ridley Scott initially wanted a more action-packed opening with Harrison Ford coming into a house and just shooting a dude who turned out to be a replicant. That was then used in 2049 with the Batista scene, which is probably the most memorable scene of that movie. Like, it's a fucking great opening.
It is a great opening. You know,
So,
another thing that was like in question of the movie was, have you ever shot a human thinking it was a replicant?
Right.
And he said no, right?
Yeah.
But then at the end it questions like morality is, does it matter?
They're all, yeah. Is there a difference between the two? So they thought Ridley Scott's original cut was lost, and then some guy was looking for another movie. He was looking for the movie Gypsy and stumbled upon a 70 millimeter print of the movie.
He's
So,
like,
and
hey,
that was,
listen, you know what I would have done if I was that guy? I would go to my head of studio and be like, hey, listen, you know that lost Blade Runner cut of Scott's? He's like, yeah. He's like, what would be
what
the
would that,
reward if someone
yeah, yeah, yeah.
found it?
What would that be worth to you? So that was in '89, and then there was a sort of a director's cut that came out, and then the final cut that is like the official Ridley Scott cut came out in 2007 in like a DVD release and an in theater release. Harrison Ford cited this as the most frustrating movies he's ever made, and he had to be talked down from beating the shit out of Ridley Scott. Like at the end of the movie, he was so
Nice.
like everyone was frustrated with working with Ridley because he was such a perfectionist. He was changing things every day. They apparently they filmed for 2 weeks, and then he was just like, "Yeah, everything we filmed is shit. We got to start over." So,
Oh man, could you
and
imagine?
then Ridley Scott asked Emmett Walsh if he could smoke for the movie, and he was not a smoker, but he said sure. That's the guy that plays Bryant. And at one point he said Ridley should be hung by his balls off the ceiling because he like was getting sick from the cigarettes. And the head of 20th Century Fox and the producer, or the president and the producer of 20th Century and the producer of this movie, was so offended by hearing that he fired the guy from his next movie. He was like, "Yeah, you're not that anymore."
Emmett?
Just
They fired Emmett?
yeah, just took him
Oh
out of his
man.
next movie. It was supposed to be a Michael Keaton movie. I don't know what that would have been. I could have looked it up.
Mm.
I didn't. Ridley Scott has declared that Deckard is a replicant, although he will accept either interpretation. I think it is fairly obvious he's trying to say he is, but it also does feel somewhat shoehorned in there with just like a couple of things. And it's like without like a real payoff of him being. I also think the movie is better if he's not, right? Like at the point that I think is getting across of like, hey, these are human beings, right? Like they're made, but like you're taking life here. And like Harrison Ford being a human but falling in love with a replicant, I think, I don't know, it has a little bit more meaning to me.
I think we should never know. That's the thing. Is that we should always be in that like middle ground of like we just don't know. I'm actually kind of disappointed that Ridley Scott came out and was like, he's a replicant.
Definitively. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, definitively, because it was so interesting how we just shouldn't know. Although I guess with the unicorn and everything, it is pretty like pretty much there. We've done two other movies with Emmett Brown.
Walsh.
Walsh.
Yeah,
Emmett
he
Brown
was
is the guy from Back to the Future. Yeah.
one of them. He's the expert witness from Time to Kill.
Oh, three movies. We've done three movies with him.
What are the two you have?
Raising Arizona.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And Calvary.
Oh, Calvary. I don't even remember him in that at all.
No.
So the original ending of this movie has voiceover with Harrison Ford and Sean Young, Rachel driving like in the wilderness.
Four
And
movies with Emmett Walsh.
okay, thank
My
you.
best friend's wedding.
Okay, great. There's probably more. He's a good character actor that's in a lot of small parts. But anyway, the original ending that they shot was they wanted a happy ending for this. So they have Harrison Ford and Sean Young driving in a car in the wilderness, and then they use a bunch of helicopter shots because Ridley Scott called up Stanley Kubrick and was like, "I need helicopter shots. Do you have extras from The Shining?" And he's like, "Oh, do I?" And he sent over like 12 reels of fucking helicopter shots. And then I watched the ending on YouTube and I was like, those so much look like the Shining shots, like at the beginning when they're driving up to the hotel.
Okay.
So it's just like it just is hilarious. And it's Harrison Ford like, yeah, So I looked into it, and she doesn't have an end date. So I guess we're just gonna live together happily forever. Like it's so dumb.
No, no. Oh, that is. I'm glad that's like. I think this is the first time because I haven't seen this movie until now, but I've seen a bunch of people talk about this movie. I've seen a bunch of YouTubers dissect this movie. I have never seen anyone talk about this movie or dissect the theatrical cut of this movie.
It's because it doesn't exist, honestly.
Exactly. I think this is a rare moment where the director's cut, the final cut, is the cut of the movie, and everyone knows the movie by this cut.
Well,
Which
Kingdom of Heaven too. It's kind of a Ridley Scott thing to do.
is kind of a Ridley Scott thing to do.
Finally, alternate casting. Dustin Hoffman was the original choice to play Deckard, although he publicly wondered why he was asked to play such a macho character. Ridley Scott was interested, but Ridley Scott said that Hoffman was interested but wanted to make it a whole different character. The other people considered for the role: Tommy Lee Jones, Gene Hackman, Sean Connery, Jack Nicholson, Paul Newman, Clint Eastwood, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Al Pacino, Burt Reynolds, Raul Julia, Scott Glenn, Robert Duvall, Judd Hirsch, Nick Nolte, Christopher Walken, hilarious. And then Martin Sheen was offered the role but turned it down because he was exhausted from making Apocalypse Now.
So I like every single name that you named except for two.
Schwarzenegger?
And that I'm not saying which two. That's your discretion.
It's Schwarzenegger and probably Christopher Walken?
Nope.
Okay. Well, we'll leave it to the audience's imagination. Yeah, I think that this movie is interesting in that it is older, right? So I think you can get caught up in, it doesn't look that great. The technology is a little bit old, but man, I don't know, when you just think of this as like a detective noir movie, that, as you said, the vibe, right? That's when you called me the first time you called me, like, man, this is just movie such a vibe.
This movie is a vibe. Yeah.
It actually looks pretty fucking great when I watched it this time, knowing a little bit more background about what the movie's going for. Man, I thought it was awesome. And like, I guess not disappointed that I didn't feel this way the first time. It's just I'm glad that we did this so I could rewatch it because it is a fairly great movie, and obviously so instrumental to all the other movies we've watched since, sci-fi wise.
The way you feel right now about the movie is exactly how I feel about the movie. Just my first time watching it. I feel like I'm appreciating it to the fullness of it. I wonder if I'm going to have the same revelation you did when watching 2049 again.
Find out in December. Well, thanks for listening to another episode of I Finally Watched. This is David.
And this is Alon. And I finally watched Blade Runner.